when we're done, you'll come in here and look at the men in the ranks. We actually have a little bit of everything that you would see here at the first Battle of Manassas. Percussion shotgun, rifles, muskets, and what they called rifle muskets, which is a rifle musket length. Each soldier's going to learn in base camp how to load and fire this weapon safely. They're going to be packed in very dense lines, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow. It's a single shot weapon, so the only way you can mass your fire is to mass the men. There's probably at least a half dozen different manuals at this time that officers are training their men under. And it's not until July of 1862, when General Lee takes over command of the main army here in the East, that he gets everybody on the same page as far as their drill and how they're going to handle their weapons. I'm going to bring Private George forward, and he's going to actually go through this loading procedure. And there's different ones. We're going to show you what's called loading in 9 times, and that's about 9 basic steps. Keep in mind that these are muzzle loaders. That means that the powder and the ball are all going to be put in individually in the muzzle, pushed down to the breech. It's a percussion firing system, although they did have flintlocks here at the first battle as well. A percussion cap is a little copper or brass top hat looking object that has fulminated mercury in it. It's like a strike on anything kitchen match, and when the hammer strikes at a blow, that creates the spark that ignites the powder. Now, loading in 9 times. Step 1 would be to load. Black powder is nasty, volatile stuff. Once you fire the weapon one time, you always run the risk of dumping black powder in on burning embers, and it could cook off or flash on you. So you're always going to keep the weapon away from your face, and you got to be mindful of these men that are in the ranks with you. He would then handle cartridge. Each soldier's going to carry about 40 rounds of ammunition. They're like speed loaders. They're paper tubes with a proper measure of powder and the lead ball. He's going to have to tear cartridge. One of the physical criteria in the Civil War Army is that you have to have 2 opposing teeth in your mouth to be able to tear those cartridges. He's going to safely bring the cartridge up. He's going to charge cartridge, pour the powder in and then the ball. He's going to draw his rammer and ram the cartridge down into the breech. He's going to return rammer to the groove under the barrel that the soldiers refer to as the pipes. And you see a lot of this hand job is done with fingertips and pinky fingers. Everything's about being safe and keeping your hand away from the dangerous muzzle. He's going to prime. He's going to tee his feet, which is the proper firing position. That brings the lock of the weapon right above the percussion cap pouch. The weapon is half cocked. He's going to thumb a percussion cap on there. Then he would later be told to, he would actually come, step 9 would be to come to the shoulder arms position. And this is a visual indicator to a commander in a den of battle where the spoken command may not be heard. The commander can look down his line and they know everybody that's standing there like that has heard that command to load or reload, and they're finished their loading procedure. The weapon's half cocked in a safe position. They're ready to go. Now we're not a company or a squad or a platoon, no unit here, but just a small segment of a battle line. And in the Civil War Army, they're going to fight in 2 ranks, front rank and rear rank. When the man in the front rank is told to come to the ready, he's going to tee his feet, which blades his body to the enemy, and he's going to fully cock his weapon. He's going to aim his weapon down range, and he would fire from that position. Now, if you're a rear rank man, you have a head in front of you. And everybody's going to use their weapon and fire their weapon as a right-handed person, whether they were or not. They're only about the length of a forearm from elbow to knuckle apart in the ranks, and when the rear rank men hear that command to come to the ready and aim, they're going to have to slide their right foot over to the man's heel to their right, and that's going to put them in the gap up front, in the interval between the heads. And they have to be real mindful of safe weapons placement. If you're too far back, you're going to have that muzzle flash right between the heads up front. You don't want that. And if you actually crowd in too much, you can actually have this explosion from the percussion caps. And a lot of times that actually sends little shards of copper and brass flying between the heads. So you're always going to try to split the difference. We'll fire obliquely, which is 45-degree angle. You're going to see that the rear rank guys really have to be mindful of safety, so they have a lot of footwork back there in the back rank to always load and fire their weapons safely. Thanks, Private. Now, these weapons weigh about 8 to 10 pounds. And again, there's lots of different modes of carry depending on what drill manual you were trained out of. We're working here with the Hard Ease manual, which is a drill originally for rifle, and then it's revised to cover the longer rifle musket. So if you're wondering about what the modes of carry are, they come out of the Hard Ease manual. There's also Scott's, Gillham's, Casey's, lots of different manuals in that day. Attention detail. Shoulder, arms. Order, arms. Shoulder, arms. Right shoulder shift, arms. Now this is another visual indicator for a commander because this is the default mode of carry when they're told to double quick. When they're really starting to step it off, increase the length of their stride, increase the number of steps per minute and everything. They're showing the commander, we hear you, we're doing it because they're carrying the rifle in the proper way for that particular movement. Shoulder, arms. Support, arms. In this manual, this is the only mode of carry for giving the right arm a break, carried under your left arm. Rest. Attention. Shoulder, arms. Present, arms, which would be a salute while you're under arms. Shoulder, arms. Order, arms. Trail, arms. Now, trail arms has a tactical application also. You find a natural balance point of the weapon, and it's going to be the mode of carry to advance, provide the least silhouette. When you're trying to be stealthy or advance through a woodland, you're going to carry your weapon in this way. It's also the default mode of carry. Civil War soldiers are used to being told everything they need to do. It's time to go, and this is how you're going to carry your weapon. If they're not told how to carry the weapon, but they're moving out, they're going to carry it this way, again, because it's the most stealthy way. Imagine, this big long weapon, over 50 inches long, with a bayonet on top of it. You're going to be able to see that soldier from a long distance against the skyline. Pickett's division later on in July '63 would advance with their weapons in this way. It's just the best way to move forward. Order, arms. Shoulder, arms. Go ahead and wheel them around there, Private George.
Left wheel, mark.
Now they have to maintain that sense of touch. There's going to be five sergeants in a full-strength company. They're referred to as file closers. They would come around to the rear of the firing line and actually push and pull the men into position as they try to dress their lines when they start taking casualties. All the corporals in a company would be in the front rank, scattered out to maintain that dress. You don't want to open up intervals between the ranks because that's when accidents are going to happen. Now, a Civil War commander, you think about it, they can load fire their weapon ideally once every 20 seconds, 3 shots a minute, and with a basic load of ammunition, you could run through your ammunition pretty quickly if you're only issued the 40 rounds. So one of the things the commander's going to try to do is maintain a steady rate of fire on the enemy, not have everybody empty at one time, always ready to address the enemy because of that lull in the loading, and again, just kind of maintain a steady rate and not run through your ammunition too quickly. One way to fire and regulate your fire would be to fire by rank. We're in a 2-rank battle line, so they would have the rear rank fire first, so they could begin their reloading procedure behind the line and not obscure the sight picture of the front rank men, which would happen if you actually fired in a different order, in reverse order. If you had the front rank guys fire first, they're trying to reload, they're blocking the sight picture of the rear rank men. We are going to fire black powder here. It is a nice little explosion, so turn down your hearing aid, hold on to your child or your dog or whatever. Fire by rank, rear rank, ready, aim, fire, load. Now, as you look at the back of them here today, and that's not a real pretty sight, but they're on the left hip. They've got their haversack, it's a bag of oats. It's their bread bag, their ration bag, and a canteen of some form. On the right hip, everybody's operating their weapon as a right-handed person. It's going to be their cartridge box and the percussion cap pouch, which is the ammunition for the weapon. Everybody here today is in light marching order, which is no knapsacks, no blanket rolls. Front rank, ready. Aim. Fire. Load. You get a little idea of the powder smoke. Imagine that multiplied by thousands. You're going to stand in clouds of that and breathe it. It's nasty, acrid stuff. In addition to being very flammable, it's very, almost like acid on your skin, the residue, when it mixes with perspiration. You're going to have it in your mouth from tearing the cartridges. Your face is going to be coated with powder smoke, which burns your eyes. And if on a hot, sultry day like today, and like July of 1861, you're going to stand in clouds of that and breathe it, to say nothing of how it's going to, obscure the views of the enemy. Now, we're a battle line, front rank, rear rank. Each cross-section of men are called file partners, and they would fire by file. They would be given one command to initiate the fire. The first pair on the far right of the battalion would start the fire. Each pair in succession would raise and fire their weapon with no further command. By the time that fire has reached the far left of a battalion, the men who had initiated it would already be reloading and firing, and it just kind of gives a steady, cyclic rate of fire. And the tactical application of it is if you're in a woodland where the enemy can't really see you and they're trying to develop your line, they felt that it kind of acoustically masked how big the unit was. At the same time, it's a steady amount of projectiles on the enemy. Not everybody's empty at one time. Firing by file. Ready. Commence firing. Now, you might get a little bit of the powder smoke there. We like to provide sights, sounds, and smells of the Civil War. Some of these guys that camped out here last night, get near them, you'll know what I mean. The enemy's not always good enough to come out and right in front of you. The soldiers were trained to get to safely fire their weapons. Ceasefire! Now, at the command of ceasefire, they would continue on to finish the reloading procedure, let the commander know that they are reloaded, half-cocked, ready to go, with the proper weapons placement in that shoulder arms position. Now, if the enemy doesn't come right out in front of you, they're trained to fire and handle their weapons at 45-degree angles, called firing obliquely. To do that safely calls for more footwork on the part of the rear rank men. They're always shooting between the same two heads over the same shoulder, as it were. For every 10 cartridges they're issued in packages, they're going to get 12 percussion caps, because they're little tiny fumbly things that you're going to drop. They'd also use those percussion caps to dry out a damp weapon, and they're the kind of things that actually get stuck on the cone there, and sometimes the man would actually have to stop, take out a pocket knife, and pry it back off. At the left oblique, ready. Aim. Fire. Load. Now these guys are actually, I will tell you, they're very well drilled. When you hear several guys shooting, sounds like one shot. They're pretty in sync. Now, when the column would form in the morning, obviously they're going to get their marching orders. The commander's going to give each company a number. You don't want the same company marching at the end of the line every day sucking dust. And it also gives him a number to call. He can call your number. And he would have his companies fire in sequence, again, trying to regulate the amount of fire that's on the enemy, not burning through his load of ammunition too quickly. They would actually rotate off and on the line in a static combat situation to get more ammo and things that usually wasn't brought up to them. They would also go back, rewater, and those kind of things. But they would be trained to fire in blocks of men. Ready. Aim. Fire. Load. When the companies formed in the morning, they'd form from left to right, tall to small. They'd be numbered off in ones and twos. Those numbers are going to help them transition from a marching column of 4 men abreast to a battle line of 2 ranks and back again. Obviously, once they start taking casualties, that numbering system is going to go by the wayside. And that's when the NCOs in the back of the firing line that are back there to maintain unit cohesion are going to push and pull men into formation. Now, when you go to a battle reenactment, we're going to have a whole slate of them over the next 4 years. One of the fallacies created by battle reenactment is for safety's sake, in a battle reenactment, they try to dress their front rank and rear rank and keep them the same size all the time. And what that really does is you take casualties, is it shrinks down your company. In the Civil War Army, you would not want that to happen. You want to keep your company front, your battalion front as wide as you can for as long as you can, because what everybody's trying to do to you is get around your flank and get in your rear. So obviously, if you make your front real narrow, that makes that easier to happen. Ready. Aim. Fire. Prime. Now we'll make sure our weapons are clear by snapping a few percussion caps. Ready. Aim. Fire. Prime. Percussion caps were actually developed by a Scottish priest who liked to duck hunt and goose hunt, and he didn't like the fact that the flintlocks were really unreliable when you're hunting near water. So that's where that actually comes, with a percussion firing system. Ready. Aim. Fire. Recover. Arm. Shoulder. Arm. Go ahead and wheel them around, Private George. Now when they wheel, they're looking out and tension in. You're looking at the head of the man in one direction and you're squeezing in the other direction. They're trying to mask their fire, so they have to mask the men. Keep in mind that all the officers, the Battle of Manassas, like when you watch a TV show on TV, you know, a new TV show in September, some characters are going to develop and you're going to find out things about them, and some people you saw in the first episode are going to disappear and you're never going to see them again. So lots of people who are going on to big and better things are here at Manassas. Sherman and others, you'd see them out in the Western Theater where they would become famous. But none of these men had experience in managing large numbers of troops. Most of them never commanded bodies larger than companies of men. And now they're going to command divisions of thousands of men and corps of thousands, tens of thousands of men. Here at First Manassas, obviously for those kind of reasons, there's lots of death and destruction. Soldiers didn't know to not get too close and not be able to extricate themselves, so a lot of units took really heavy casualties here. And as Ranger Reed mentioned at the beginning, a lot of confusion on the battlefield because of the similarity in uniforms and flags. A lot of folks, when they see us in this impression, they think maybe we're Marines. We're definitely probably Yankees because we have blue on, and in fact, we're the 10th Virginia.